All right, so we're back at Minecraft this week, same seed. We're working on our tower again. I found a whole bunch of villagers, couldn't figure out where they'd all gone, and I found them hidden in a hole, so we thankfully protected them, fought off some creepers, and then got to work on connecting some important locations with the portal. So I started off with doing the stronghold because I know eventually I'm going to need an elytra, but while I was making my portal opening, I started getting attacked by all of these silverfish, which, as we all know from previous experiences, are not my favorite elements, but they just kept popping up out of nowhere because, if I'm not mistaken, they're ones that can like summon reinforcements, and so I kept fighting them, and thankfully I was able to tower up using some of the obsidian that I was supposed to use for my build, and they just kept popping and popping up and popping up, and sometimes I have a hard time hitting them, and so I kept going and going and going, which was taking forever, and I couldn't figure out what to do. And so I decided to eat some food, obviously, because we don't want to die at this point now that we've beaten the dragon, but we also didn't want the silverfish to get away, so I dropped down just a little bit further so that I could try and hit it again, and it still wasn't working, and so I decided to go with another option where I took my bucket and actually collected lava and just dumped it on the thing to take it out, and we were able to get back to building our portal. After we were finished with that one, I went back to creating my fancy tower for my 2 portals because I didn't want to lose it. I'm swapping out the resource pack that I was using mainly because I didn't want to accidentally walk off the edge of my glass as I built my way up to it. I had a general idea of what I wanted to do. I didn't really test anything when it came down to it. I just kind of looked at it and I said, well, this is the situation that we got. We got 2 water pillars or water elevators on the side, and we've got to fill this up so that it looks cool by the end of it. So I just sort of kind of tried a bunch of different things. You can sort of see the basalt towers that I'm starting to build on the side. I went to the nether and made sure that I had plenty of basalts. Thankfully, one of my librarians was still selling glass, and so I didn't have to collect all of it. And then I decided that I was going to use the nether brick, I want to say, in order to make the main structure. So I kind of just towered up these to finish off the corners just because I thought that it looked a little bit nicer. And while I am clearing up all of this brick to make it as even as possible, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I will at some point try and get an elytra just so that it's a little bit easier, but I'm not quite sure exactly how that will go down, and I'm nervous to accidentally die. So if you're curious as to why it's taking so long for me to go and fight a ship and get an elytra and fly around like they do in all those, it's because I'm nervous that I'm going to die in the process of 1, getting the elytra, and then 2, I'm going to die attempting to fly. So I just haven't done it yet. So for the general shape that I decided to make for the main part of the tower, I decided to build it out so it was 1, even with how far out I needed it to be in order to easily get into the bubble elevators. And then 2, I sort of wanted it to be more of not a square, but like as circular as I could make it. So more of a diamond shape. And that I did pull up into a creative world just so I could see how shapes worked. I also pulled out fancy graphing paper so I could color in all of the boxes and kind of build out the shape of it a little bit better. So that was kind of helpful when it came to building it out. I am making no claims that I'm a builder. I want to make that clear with this video in case my skills surprise you. I am in no way a builder. I just kind of was trying to figure out how I was going to connect these 2 portals portals without them looking too weird. And the original design that I kind of wanted to make it look more like was some of the towers in Zelda Breath of the Wild, but my building skills do not meet that style at all, and so we gave up with that pretty quickly. As you can see, these towers that I'm making are using just the regular bath salt. I do eventually swap it out for polish just because I thought it looked cleaner, but oh well. This is me building up the other half of the glass case that's going to go into the center. I thought about making a fancy setting of glass, but I decided that I would just place lava inside of it so that it would kind of just fill out the whole tube. That door is a bit of an issue, but yeah, so that's what it looks like with the lava in the tower, and you can sort of see the beginnings of my tower. And here I am swapping out the salt blocks for the polished ones just because I quickly discovered that they look a little bit nicer in their structure, and these ones already got swapped out. And so I grabbed out all of my warped wood, and using planks I kind of did my best to make a roof. I just kind of, when it comes to it, this is probably not exactly my favorite color, but one of my favorite colors, so most likely when it comes to building, you're probably going to end up seeing this shade of some form. And then with the gray and the brick, I don't know, I just thought it was cool looking. So that's sort of how I picked my coloring. Nothing too fancy. I also tested building out the roof because I haven't done that much building, and I kind of just worked my way up. I did really like using the shroom lights to be able to build myself up in order to get to the level that I needed to be, just because they were so easy to create and break with my hoe. But the corners of these structures were always quite annoying because I've definitely gotten better. I won't say I'm an expert, but better at placing the stairs, but they still, every so often, I'll get these angles and it's quite frustrating. But yeah, so that's what it looks like at that stage. And then I continued to build it up as it went into the center. Sorry if my voice sounds hoarse. Making it as close to a general roof as I could make it. And then I eventually decided for the final section of roof, I would use polished diorite because I liked the white color, and so that was the easiest one for me to get. So I decided to go with the white diorite for the final section of the tower, and there it is. Ta-da! All built. You can sort of see at the top the shroom light that I placed just so there would be plenty of light. Nothing would spawn up there. Anyways, thank you. See you next week. Bye.